Hello, Instagram. This is Dr. Marie Thouin. I am about to be joined by my good friend and colleague, Aria Diana. And we are going to talk about polyamorous story time. So, Aria recently published an amazing blog on my site, whatiscompersion.com. It was about a beautiful story of her finding a counterintuitive avenue to compersion in her relationship with her husband and her metamor. So I'm going to invite her to join and what can compersion look like in counterintuitive situations. Let me invite her in. Here she is. Hi.
Hi, Marie.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Wow, that was probably the smoothest kind of Instagram live entry I've ever experienced. This
Okay.
was Usually it's like technical problems upon technical problems, so the stars are aligning.
Let's see. Maybe we spoke too soon.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
I jinxed it.
No, I think we're good. Okay. I don't know. We'll just, yeah.
Yay. Well, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you for writing that amazing blog on what is compersion. And I just love publishing and spreading around different voices, different perspectives on compersion, which is a very or it's an understudied topic, that's why I went into it. I just think there's just so much room for more perspectives. So thank you for being one of those trusted voices.
Yeah, my pleasure. It's an honor to collaborate with you.
Yay! So today I want to give you a chance to just like tell the story in your own words. But first I want to kind of read your bio for the audience, people who might not know you. So here we go. Aria, do you say Diana or Diana?
Diana.
Oh, okay. Aria Diana is a trauma-informed relationship coach, a somatic facilitator, and the author of Navigating Non-Monogamy, which is dedicated to helping individuals practicing non-monogamy deepen self-awareness, overcome insecurities, and enhance communication to create expansive and nourishing relationships. Drawing from over a decade of personal experience in polyamory and professional training in communication, mindfulness, somatics, and trauma therapy, she offers one-on-one, couples, and polycule coaching, online workshops, and her signature coaching program, True Relating. So, yay, thank you so much for I love the breadth of, personal and professional experience that you bring.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like just kind of in your own words, like what brought you to this work?
Mm. Yeah, thank you for that great intro. I realized there was a need in my own community for more resources, more spaces to have these conversations. And it really began by working with some friends who were, on a similar journey, who were like, how are you doing this? How do we build these skills? We need more resources. So yeah, when I kind of recognized the need in my immediate community, that kind of sent me back to gain some more certifications and some more study to kind of fill in the gaps. And it was really born out of my own struggles with non-monogamy and polyamory and realizing that, okay, we really need more people to share about this. And I had come from another kind of taboo industry. I was in the cannabis industry for a long time. So I had gotten comfortable talking about things that, maybe other people shied away from. And I think after doing, more of my own work, it was like, okay, I think it's time to kind of step out of the queer non-monogamy closet and really share more about my own experiences and create spaces for people to connect with others on similar journeys.
Mm, Oh my gosh, thank you so much for taking that step because you are one of my favorite content creators
Oh,
out there. So, if you're listening to this and you're not already following Aria, please go do it because I think your content is so heart-centered and practical. It's very compassionate, but also like I always read your newsletters on Substack and just kind of get away with some practical takeaway advice that can be applied, the same day. So that's really, really powerful.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been an honor to, have that space and get questions from people and be able to address all the different nuances of alternative ways of relating.
Yes, yes. We already have a comment in the audience that says it's unmatched.
Oh,
Yes.
thanks, Matt. So sweet.
So, um, I'm going to just kind of show the blog that you published here on my site, What is Compersion? It's called When Saying No Comes from Love, a story of compersion in action. And so this is Aria's blog, and she is talking about a very personal story of saying no to her metamor's invitation to go to Jamaica. A very hard thing to say no to sometimes, but from a place of love and from a place of compersion. So I would love to just kind of, like in your own words, like for you to share about that story and what inspired you to say no and how, like, what does that have to do with compersion?
Yeah, thank you. So my metamor turned 40 last month, and she planned a big week-long trip to Jamaica with our shared partner and some of her friends. And she very generously invited me to come along. And I had lots of different kind of thoughts come up in that process of figuring out, like, should I say yes to this? Should I be there? And I really was able to kind of tease out the different parts of me that kind of were speaking and spend some time with each of them. I think there's a part of me that felt a little worried that if I said no, that they would have this great romantic experience without me, that I wouldn't get to be there, that maybe I'd feel excluded. I think there was a people pleasing part that came online that's like, well, she's so generously offering this trip to you, you should take it. But I think the longer I kind of sat with all of the different parts, I really realized that there was like a clear no that came through. And it wasn't about being excluded or left out. It was really a deep realization that the biggest gift that I could give her for her 40th was a week with our shared partner for her to enjoy, to be able to wake up with him and have them share a room. I was kind of like, how will we do these lodging logistics if we're all there and her other partner's there? And I think, yeah, she has become such a dear person in my own life. And she took me to the spa for my 40th birthday a couple months prior. And I was like, what gift could I give her? And I realized the biggest gift I could give her was just uninterrupted quality time with our shared partner, who she, usually only gets to see once or twice a week. So that felt like it was like, oh, okay, yeah, this isn't for me. This is for them.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. And what comes to mind or what stands out from that story right away is like that compersion is not just towards your partner.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes when we have conversations, about compersion, it's always like, well, feeling happy for the person you're dating, for your partner when they're experiencing something good with someone else. But here you are talking about having compersion towards a metamor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think, as much as possible, I really try to think about the needs of the whole relationship ecosystem and what she might want in that moment. And I think compersion definitely grows in relational soil. It's not this individual state. It's like I understand her needs. I want her to be happy. She wants me to be happy. It's like this real sense of, yeah, desire to see each other bloom and blossom. And we've spent years of building trust. And I really feel like she respects my marriage and is always thinking about me. She sent home a really beautiful gift from Jamaica. So yeah, I think it's definitely not this like individual pursuit. It's kind of this wider ecosystem cultivation that we've been all working on together for quite a long time.
Yes, I love that so much. And I think that's such a jump, in paradigm. We're so trained to think about ourselves and maybe our partner, maybe our nuclear family as the unit that we need to value and protect. And everything else or everyone else comes second. And in this polyamorous paradigm that you've cultivated, it hasn't happened overnight. It's not like, oh, boom, my husband is dating someone new, and right away there's this soil that's just ready to be harvested. It's like, no, you've planted seeds for years to get to that point where, everyone's well-being is taken into consideration. Like, it's not just like attuning to one person, it's attuning to an ecosystem.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's the really beautiful part about polyamory is it's not just about one person fulfilling all of our needs. It's like, how can we share resources? How can we share responsibility and really understand what everyone needs to thrive? And, not everyone always gets their way. Sometimes people get disappointed, right? It's like sometimes there are situations where, one person has to compromise more or, but I think, yeah, really trying to hold this larger web of connections and figure out, okay, how can we take care of the whole is, yeah, definitely different than monogamous culture teaches us, to prioritize the single dyad, the couple. And I think it, yeah, requires some practice to really figure out, okay, how do we manage all of this and what do people need and how can we talk about it in a way that helps everyone feel seen and validated.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. And I want to read a little excerpt from your blog, I think that really speaks to that I really love. Um, because what you're talking about also is kind of jumping away from a zero sum
Mm.
paradigm of looking at things. Like your story is not about like, I self-sacrificed like a martyr in order to give them a good experience, but I was home alone feeling sad and I did it because of compersion. Like it was not that. Like it didn't feel like a zero sum thing, right?
Yeah, totally. Well, I like to work with the framework of internal family systems, which is this
Mm-hmm.
idea that we have a collection of parts and we all have, this higher S self, capital S self, which
Mm-hmm.
is kind of the center of us, the part that can align with our values. And I think, yeah, there were some like younger parts that, you know, came online and it was like, okay, what do those younger parts need to feel taken care of and soothed? And but when I can really tune into the higher self, like how do I want to show up in alignment with my values? And that was like, yeah, I can be generous in this moment and give them this gift. And yeah, it's not about self-sacrificing or being a martyr. And it's not this like individual heroic act of, you know, falling on the sword. But I think that's why I love your kind of compersion spectrum, right? It's like not this pure positivity state, right? It ebbs and flows. There were moments of embodied compersion, and but it really is like anchoring into that attitudinal compersion. It's like, okay, I want to show up as my best self for them, and I want them to have this experience.
Yeah, that is such a great example of attitudinal compersion and behavioral compersion. Like there's such power in choosing our actions from a place of like mindful choice, mindful awareness, and it doesn't have to feel like we're cutting out a limb and betraying ourselves. Like it can be like, yes, I'm aware of those younger parts of me that maybe like are afraid or anxious or telling me like, wait a second, like what about me? What about us?
Yeah,
And
what about
you
me? That's
can
a good one. Yeah, it often.
yeah, like you can be the benevolent parent and say like, "Oh no, I got this. I got you." And we're gonna be, really expansive right now, and just go with that decision, trusting yourself that you can fill your own cup.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like I think compersion emerges when we are in right relationship with all those parts and we can really honor them and check in with those different younger parts that maybe are like, what about me? It's like, okay, what does that part need? Maybe it needs my own novelty and adventure. Maybe it needs, to feel seen and validated that, you know, we
Mm.
are making a sacrifice for the collective in some way. And yeah, it's a practice of really slowing down and listening and being like, what is here and how can I take care of myself?
Oh, yeah, I love that so much. So the excerpt I want to read is that little part where you say, and I quote, "It's easy to imagine that compersion means erasing all trace of longing or discomfort. But what I've found is this: compersion is not the absence of longing, it's the presence of self trust and inner attunement. It's what emerges when I'm in right relationship with myself, when I'm not forcing closeness or shrinking, to keep the peace, when I'm listening to my parts and to my body, when I trust that love can stretch and expand. That is so powerful. I
Mhm.
love that. And that's exactly what we were just talking about, kind of trusting
Yeah.
yourself to expand and meet yourself.
Yeah, yeah, I love that you pulled that out. I feel like that really is the heart of the practice, like really honoring everything in the field and figuring out, okay, how can we take care of ourselves? What values do we want to root into when we're making decisions? And yeah, I think holding compersion as an attitude is such a helpful frame that you've given us, and I'm grateful for that kind of distinction. It's not just about feeling happy all the time, right? It's like I want to choose to show up with spaciousness and trust them that they're gonna take care of me even in the absence. So it wasn't about, yeah, FOMO or missing out on something. It really felt like a choice to be like, oh, this is the most generous way I could show up in this moment is to say no.
Yes, 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 yes. Like compersion is not also just like an individual project, but a team effort.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, and it was really sweet to, be able to integrate with them after the trip when they came back. I think I wrote in a couple Substacks ago that, I was able to, like, before the trip, I felt this real sense of embodied compersion, like, oh, I feel really good giving them this gift. And then when they were away, there was like some envy and things that bubbled up that actually kind of surprised me. And I was like, oh, okay, didn't anticipate these feelings, and like, let me sit with what's here. And to be able to share with both of them afterwards felt like really healing and validating to for them to, witness what came up for me and hold space and help me figure out, okay, what is underneath that. And it's like there was this real longing to have what they have. I think there's sometimes this confusion between like jealousy and envy in non-monogamy, and I think they're different flavors of challenging experiences that some people would rather avoid. But I think jealousy is like, oh, I feel threatened by their connection. Whereas what I realized was like, oh, I actually really admire their connection and I want what they have in another partner. And so that was a really helpful experience to move through. It's like the experience of compersion really did shift. It's like there was a while where I didn't feel the embodied compersion, but I was able to hold that attitude and check in with, some new parts of myself that came online in their absence.
Wow, that's amazing. And I imagine that's kind of that expansion that can happen. Is like when you check in with those new parts of yourself and you're using that space of like maybe like feeling a little void or a little bit of emptiness or longing. It's like, what are you going to fill that with?
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think when we can really like use envy as a mirror, it's like, okay, what is my need here? What is the desire? What is this pointing me towards? And for me, it really showed like, oh, I really do have a desire to like go have a big, exciting trip to a foreign place, to get out of my little corner of the world and see some new beauty and be inspired and have someone choose me. And it was, really good clarity that's like, okay, there are needs here. How am I going to get these met for myself and not rely on a single person, my nesting partner, to be the provider of those,
Mm-hmm.
those needs for me?
Wow. Yes, that's amazing. And I'm curious, like, as they, like came back and you integrated back into your regular life, like, what did it take for you to feel kind of reconnected and kind of re-included and integrate back after that experience, after that trip?
Yeah, well, I think, just having quality time one-on-one with my nesting partner afterwards always helps, just like to come back into connection and
Mm-hmm.
remember that just because he spent this beautiful week in Jamaica doesn't take anything away from me, that,
Mm-hmm.
actually like absence does make the heart grow fonder. And he's someone who I see almost every day. We both work from home, we live together. And so to have that time and space away, it's like, it is this reminder. It's like, oh yeah, there's something really sweet here that, I missed you. And so to get to reconnect in that way, and then also to have a time and space to kind of integrate the experience, the three of us. So the three of us were at a party a couple weeks later and we were able to sit down and have like a little heart to heart. And I was able to share with her what came up for me. And she really validated those feelings and, expressed a wish that she hopes I find another partner who can take me on big trips like she was able to
Uh,
take him on. And so there's just like a real sense of care and an ability to really be witnessed in all of the challenging feelings. I think it's harder when we feel like ashamed of these feelings or like we have to hide them. And I think when we can give them air and space to breathe and everyone kind of knows what everyone's holding and moving through, it's easier to like keep fostering that sense of collaboration and teamwork in the wider ecosystem.
yes, yes, yes. That's amazing. Like, yeah, as you were talking, I'm just getting that picture of like, yes, you're all on the same team in
Yeah.
this. Like, it's so clear.
Yeah, it feels really good. And it hasn't always been that way with other metamors. So I just want to say that for people, if they
Yeah,
don't feel on the same team with their metamor, it's like, yeah,
yeah.
it's like, how can we show up with vulnerability or, invite them into the sense of teamwork? And I think that is a practice that,
Mm,
kind of breaks a lot of cultural norms. I think especially between women, we're taught we're supposed to compete or that if
mhm,
one wins, then the other one loses. And I think really composting all of those old scripts and being like, okay, how can we show up, as a team and support each other and really check in and figure out what everyone wants and then do our best to balance all these needs.
I love that so much. I
Mm.
see we have a couple of comments or questions in the chat. I'm just gonna read those. Diamond Cole says, I have been going through the exact same thing. My partner goes on trip after trip with their nesting partner and partners they've been with longer, and it absolutely feels devastating to me in this moment. I keep telling myself I need to do a special vacation with a special person very badly because I never have. These
Oh,
experiences, watching him do it again and again, have shown that to me.
yeah, I totally hear that. And I hear like a longing and grief there. And I think I just want to share for me, I realize like it doesn't have to be a romantic partner. I think it's like when you get clear on
Mm,
what your needs are, it's
yeah.
way easier to figure out, okay, how can I get these needs met? And I was really grateful to be invited to go to Hawaii with a dear friend a month later, which absolutely like softened the envy and helped me meet the needs that I had identified. So I think, for Diamond in the chat, I would just encourage you to get really clear. What is it that you're longing for? And are there other people in your ecosystem that aren't romantic partners who can help you meet those needs? I think so often these relationship scripts tell us that our spouse or our partner is the only one who's supposed to be our travel companion or the person we have these big experiences with. And I think it was really powerful for me to realize, like, okay, what are my needs? How can I get them met? And go have this beautiful experience where I felt really chosen by a friend and really taken care of. And yeah, it really made it easier to like
Mm,
return to that embodied sense of compersion for my nesting partner and metamor because it's like, okay, my cup is full now. And I don't have to like see their love and joy as something that's taking away from me. It's like, okay, we all are getting our needs met in different ways.
Yes, yes, it's so cool. I was just writing about this this morning, actually, in the context of dating, because I think both like polyamory and just like dating new people can bring up some of the same like attachment insecurities. It can bring up this like, am I chosen? Am I included? Am I being rejected right now? All of these big core emotional questions that we hold. And, like these are big, big triggers.
Yeah.
And I was talking about how, like, I think when we're dating, whether we're dating in a monogamous or a polyamorous paradigm, it's important to have community and to feel like there's love and there's support and there's connection, not just in those romantic partners or those dates, but
Mhm.
in friends and friendships, so that, yeah, it softens the blow if you do go through disappointment, and it reminds you like love is there, love is abundant, I'm not just counting on this one person to validate me or to like outsource my worth, so to speak.
Mhm.
So easy to do that. Like, I feel like we're also kind of wired, especially in a monogamous society, to kind of put our sense of worth and validate our existence, in the fact that we're chosen and prioritized by one person. And that's a pretty
Totally.
fragile system.
It's a lot of pressure to put on one person. Yeah. And I do see it in the chat that they do need it with a romantic partner. I need a sexy vacation. Yeah. So it sounds like maybe there is a need for more of a physical intimacy. So I think, yeah, good clarity and good to know. It's like, okay, maybe I do need to find another sexual partner. And yeah, it's like when we know that, it's easier to be like, okay, I'm going to prioritize finding someone's to help meet this need.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I think it's like, what do we need in this moment? It's like, if
Hmm.
yeah, the clearer we can be, the easier it is to be like, okay, how am I going to get this need met?
Hmm. Hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's see. I'm curious if you have other stories or examples that you'd like to share about counterintuitive stories of compersion or finding compersion either like against all odds or in action in those ways that are maybe not like that typical, like, oh, I got so blissful because I saw my partner with someone else.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think with this Jamaica trip, it really was clear that like saying no to something doesn't have to mean exclusion or missing out. It wasn't about disconnection or losing something. It really was a conscious choice that helped me feel more rooted in myself and really more connected to them. And it was like an exercise in trust. It was like when I trust myself to make a good decision, when I trust them to go have an experience, then and not to abandon me in the process. It's like we all, yeah, got to have our experience and it was different. And I think, the emotional asymmetry of it felt really sharp that week. They're having this big celebration in a foreign country, and I was home nursing a heartbreak. So I often hear my clients talk about like really trying to establish symmetry in their relationships. It's like, well, when my partner's gonna go on a date, I'm gonna go on a date. And I think it's really important to remember that is hard to structure things that way, that there is going to be this real big emotional asymmetry sometimes. And I think it's an invitation to really slow down and tend to ourselves in those moments. And like I said, like checking in with all the parts that come online when there is a real sense of longing or jealousy or envy. And I think yeah, remembering that compersion is a spectrum. Sometimes we are going to fall more into the jealousy side of things, and it's not a fixed state. It really ebbs and flows. So, giving ourselves permission not to like perform compersion, I think, is a really important practice. Being able to voice the hard things and sit with them when they come up, and taking care of our nervous system in those moments when we feel dysregulated or there's an old story coming online about being abandoned or not being worthy enough. I think those are common things that I see in so many of my clients. And I think the more we can just like slow down and take care of ourselves and presence all of the layers of emotions, it's like, yeah, the compersion can exist alongside the grief and the envy and the longing and like not making any of our feelings bad, but just creating space for all of it to coexist, I think is an important part of the practice.
Mm, hmm. Hmm. Yes, like I hear this kind of expanded capacity for complexity and for the ability to not shut down your heart, your generosity, your ability to feel connected,
Mhm.
in spite of everything else that might be going on, because I think like when we're experiencing like whether it's heartbreak or feeling insecure, feeling, there's maybe an attachment insecurity there. Like it's easy to just kind of want to retract and shut down and say like, I need to protect myself. That's a very natural
Mhm.
reaction. But what I'm hearing is, like you describing kind of over time being able to hold both. Like, yeah, I'm gonna be, experiencing some emotional pain, but I can also have an open heart and trust and feel included as well.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it really, yeah, it does invite us to kind of stretch and hold all of these kind of big emotions simultaneously. And I think, yeah, making space for all of it, not shutting down one feeling because another one arises, and really, yeah, it does require like a lot of internal spaciousness. And I think that's why I always encourage my clients to start a meditation practice. It's like, how can we slow down and check in with what's going on inside? I think it's so easy to want to kind of silence the challenging feelings or ignore or deny them. And I think the better we can get at really holding ourselves through those big feelings. And yeah, I think you said something about like parenting those, younger ones, I think is such a good practice. And I think there's nothing like non-monogamy to really show us the tender places inside and the places we need to work on strengthening our own sense of self-worth and then practicing asking our partners to help reassure us in those moments when the big feelings get loud. I think, yeah, it's definitely part of this. And I've been on this journey for more than a decade, and Yeah, the embodied compersion piece doesn't show up, sometimes for a long time. And I think giving ourselves permission, if we don't feel the warm, fuzzy feelings about our metamors, like it doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. Like permission to be on a different part of the spectrum and not beat yourself up if you don't feel great about your partner going away with someone else for a while. It's like there's a lot of old scripts to compost, and yeah,
Oh, I love that
patience is an
word.
important part. Yeah.
Yes, patience, composting.
Doesn't happen overnight.
And by the way, you talked about, the fact that you've been cultivating this relationship with your husband and your metamor for so many years. I'm curious, like, what is your word of wisdom or advice for people who are just starting, maybe in polyamory or even like with a new metamor relationship? Like, what does it take to turn a new metamor relationship from something that might feel like edgy and maybe a rivalry or like just all of these feelings of like, oh, are they going to steal my partner away? Like, how am I supposed to be friends with this person?
Yeah.
To the state of feeling like, oh yeah, we are on the same team and I can express myself vulnerably, but not, not fear that they're going to weaponize it.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually meeting a new metamor tomorrow.
Oh,
So this is a good question to think about for me. I think as much as possible, showing up open-heartedly, trying to lead with vulnerability and create an atmosphere where it feels safe to show the messy parts. Um, Yeah, I think it's a delicate experience, and I think the more we can create spaciousness around it. Usually I like to meet metamors outside where there's kind of space to have vulnerable conversations without feeling like there's, someone sitting at the table next to us overhearing or judging. It's like that can increase the maybe anxiety.
yeah.
And I think, yeah, being able to like look at the trees and co-regulate with Mother Earth and feel that sense of like, okay, I can lean against this tree and be held by something larger. So that's my preferred way of meeting a metamor usually, is just like going for a walk, like moving the body. Um,
Mhm.
Tomorrow we will be sitting down for a dinner, six of us, which will be really sweet. Very kitchen table moment, which I'm excited about. But yeah, I think the metamor relationship is such a unique and special relationship that really there is not a lot of mainstream modeling for. And yeah, I think learning to see each other on the same team as part of the same ecosystem is like a mindset thing, and it also requires working with the nervous system, like noticing maybe there is a little activation that comes online. Can I like take a pause? Can I go resource myself? Shake the body, take some deep breaths, and really come back into this sense of the attitudinal compersion, right? It's like, okay, how can I trust that we're on the same team, that we care about the same person and we all want what's best for them? And um, yeah, I think it's one of my favorite parts about polyamory. I think it really rewrites all these old scripts about competition and scarcity and really invites us into more abundant collaborative thinking.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, I mean, it's so cool, and it can feel such like a miracle, in our mononormative society to have a positive metamor relationship. Like, it just kind of goes to the crux of defying expectations, relationship expectations, like competitions around competition. By the way, I love the, book club that you had started with Selena May called Composting Competition and Moving Towards Compersion, as a way to kind of break down like the different chapters of my book on compersion. And
Totally.
it's really, really powerful, that image of like, you're not trying to like kill competition, because that is an instinct that, it's socialized into us and even biologically conditioned. It's not like we can totally like get rid of it, but we can compost it, which to me means transforming it.
Totally. Yeah. Noticing all the old scripts and being like, where did this idea come from that we're supposed to compete with other women? Is that how I want to show up? Like, it's really not. So, like, how can we replace that maybe with a new belief? And yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
learning to recognize like what's happening, kind of, Joseph Campbell's circle of awareness, like what's below the line of our awareness. How can we bring it up into conscious awareness and be like, what's here? How do we want to work with this material? And yeah, I think learning how to kind of compost all of this old competitive spirit and really figure out, okay, how can we lay the groundwork for a more collaborative ecosystem that really takes care of everyone is such an important part of this process of learning how to, experience more compersion and non-monogamy. But yeah, like we talked about, it's a practice and doesn't happen overnight and really takes everyone showing up and honoring when they make mistakes or when they cause harm. And I think repair is such an important part of creating an ecosystem where everyone feels safe and like they can bring the vulnerable emotions and be met and held in them.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's like, any relationship with a partner where there's been conflict and repair, like that's how you build a lot of trust that, okay, we can have conflict. And that doesn't mean we're bailing. That doesn't mean we're just like staying with the harm and, like shutting everything down. That means we get to repair and we trust this person to be a real partner in that repair process. So it makes sense that it would be the same with a metamor. If you have the chance to like know and have a real, relationship with a metamor, like there's going to be those cycles of repair that build the trust over time.
Yeah, yeah. I think when we can kind of like assume conflict is going to happen, it
Mm-hmm.
creates more space for it to normalize it and be like, okay, how do we want to move through this? How can we take ownership for our part in the conflict? And what are we learning about each other? How can we, deepen our understanding of each other? So next time maybe we make different choices or we show up a little bit differently. And yeah, I think normalizing that we're gonna make missteps as we are composting all these old relationship scripts is a good thing just to remember. Like, yeah, we don't have to be perfect in this practice. We just have to show up vulnerably and own when we make mistakes and try to do better the next time.
Mm. I love that. On that note, I think we can start just kind of closing out this conversation for now. Again, for those who are just joining, I want to reiterate how wonderful your blog is, Aria. And it's called When Saying No Comes From Love, a story of compersion in action. It's on whatiscompersion.com, and it's a lovely story of Aria's counterintuitive finding of compersion in saying no to a wonderful invitation to a trip in Jamaica with her husband and her metamor, but that just feeling like it really served the ecosystem. So yeah, go read that blog and email us if you have any questions or if you want to learn more about our work as relationship coaches in this world. And Aria, how can people find you and what are you offering right now in terms of your services, your coaching, your groups, etc.?
Yeah, yeah, thank you so much. So you can find my website at ariadiana.com. My Substack newsletter is ariadiana.substack.com. If you can subscribe there to get weekly essays in your inbox about non-monogamy. I am always looking for more topics to read about. So if people have questions, would love to hear from you. I do offer one-on-one coaching, couples coaching, polycule triad coaching. I am currently in the process of transforming my group program into a new kind of membership, which will launch this fall, designed to serve people in lots of different time zones. In the past, we've kind of met for 2 hours once a week, and the hope is by making this content more accessible, people can watch some of it in their own time and then join different practice groups where we'll practice more conscious communication and somatic practices. And so I'm, in the process of launching that and excited to create more community spaces where we can do all this work together soon. So yeah, those are the places to find me. And yeah, so grateful again for the opportunity to talk about compersion with you and be featured on your blog. I really, grateful for your friendship and for the collaboration always.
Likewise, you are such a treasure. I'm really, really grateful for who you are and what you had to go through to become who you are, and then the wisdom that you're putting into the world. Like, I really, really love your newsletter. Please go follow Aria on Substack. And, it's a really, really amazing, amazing resource, that just gives you this very compassionate outlook on different polyamorous situations from many different perspectives. I feel like you've got really this ability to look at things holistically, like I think you've seen so many polyamorous situations from enough angles that you have not a one-sided perspective, but a very like multi-sided perspective. And that's really precious. And You are such a great writer.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. It's so
Yeah.
kind.
Uh,
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, so good to spend time with you. Thank you for this opportunity. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you on the internet and continuing this conversation about all the different ways compersion can grow and thrive.
exactly. Thank you. And thank you everyone for tuning in the audience or watching the recording. Be in touch with us. We are here for you, and we hope you're having a beautiful day. So, mwah, thank you so much.
Bye, Marie. Thank
Have a
you.
good afternoon. Bye bye.
Bye.